everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand. We are here in sunny Istanbul as Manchester United take on Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce in this stadium right behind us. And I'm joined with a very special guest on tour with the United Stand. Ricky, thank you so much for being here for the road trip.
My pleasure, darling. And like you say, it's fantastic to get a bit of sunshine in it when it's so dark and dull back in Manchester. I wish we were here for a week instead of a couple of nights.
Honestly, Jose Mourinho yesterday in his press conference was saying if anyone fancies using my rooftop pool, I think he's staying at an unbelievable hotel somewhere in Istanbul. He was like, come and join. I thought, I wish I had a few more days to go and experience it.
That'd be fantastic.
Exactly, but we've got to focus on the game. Manchester United play Fenerbahce later on tonight. I assume you've seen the stuff that Jose Mourinho has been saying. Erik ten Hag was speaking yesterday. Yes, we have got a lot of injuries. Only 3 midfielders have actually travelled with Manchester United here over to Istanbul, so let's hope there's no injuries within the game. But let's start off with how confident are you tonight, especially considering their team. We know Amrabat, we know Fred, and Amrabat has actually just spoken about how Erik ten Hag wanted to keep him, but it was Jason Wilcox who said, no, sorry, that you're not going to be able to stay at Manchester United.
Well, I didn't know that. I'm surprised at that. But you know, your first question was how confident am I, and it really is difficult. We've got some. Don't want to sound like a stuck record, but like last season, it was injury after injury after injury, and it seems the same again. And to only have 3 fit midfield players, it really is. You're up against it right away. You know, if you get one on a yellow card early doors, you can't replace him. If one gets injured, obviously. So only having 3 fit midfield players, it really is a tough ask.
It's a very tough ask. Mason Mount again, Erik ten Hag saying he doesn't really know when he's going to be back, but he hopes it's going to be soon. That doesn't sound too optimistic. What I would assume, if that, hopefully this doesn't happen, but if there is, you know, a situation where one of the midfielders can't play on, I assume either Lindelof or Martinez will end up coming into the midfield. But then again, you're light in the defence as well with Johnny Evans not travelling. But I mean, there's quite limited options, Ricky, but let's go through it. How do you think Erik ten Hag will set up tonight? And what would you do if it was you in charge as well?
Well, I think all you can do is pick the 3 midfield players that are fit, and I do think it's quite a decent midfield. Casemiro, Ugarte and Eriksen. Obviously Eriksen will probably play a little bit further forward in Bruno's role, but maybe not quite as far forward as Bruno plays when he plays, so it could actually make us a bit stronger. And before we do happen to get beat 3 or 4-0, I don't need people saying to me, look how we were without Bruno. When I hear things like that, it's almost as if we don't ever get beat 4 or 5, even 7-0 like we did once with Bruno's playing. So it can happen. It can happen. But I do think it's a decent midfield. It's just that there's no cover, there's no backup. I think I'd give Ahmad a run, but I think he'll stick with Garnacho, Højlund, Rashford. And the only thing that really I've got any doubt about is how he'll go in the back 4. I would probably put Lindelof at centre-back and keep Martinez at left-back. I thought he had a decent game at left-back at the weekend, certainly defensively anyway, but he'll probably bring Mazraoui in and put Martinez to centre-back.
That's what I think he'll do as well. I think it'll be Mazraoui playing right back, Dalot will go back to left back, and I do think it'll be Martinez and De Ligt at the centre backs. But I pose the question to the viewers as well, and get down in the comments. It's very interesting because you'd like to keep your winger and your fullback. You'd like to, you know, retain that partnership, especially since, you know, Rashford had a very good game, I thought, against Brentford, playing off the right. Dalot, apart from his mistake for the goal, had a pretty decent game as well, up and down on the right. So to change that again, you know, you are changing a winning team, basically. And I know you're forced into change because Bruno is suspended, so you are forced into a change there. But you're in a situation where if you do change that, it could disrupt the front line as well, because it's a cohesive unit together, isn't it?
It is, but it is only sort of one game that they've played in that. So I won't let that bother me thinking about who I'm going to pick.
Garnacho played so well on the left, though, and Rashford had a good game on the right. It could change things. If
Rashford had played on the right-hand side and Dalot had played right-back for sort of 8 or 9 games in a row, then I would think about it coming into it. But when it's one game, I wouldn't really worry about it too much.
So that question then, say if Dalot does go back to left back and Mazraoui comes in at right back, would you keep Rashford off the right and Garnacho off the left, or would you keep him with the full backs?
I'd definitely keep it as it was. Rashford had his better game for some time. His work rate was a lot better, but you can work hard whichever flank you're on. But I just think it's more natural when you've said this many times. A right-footed player on the right not just attacks, defends better on the right as well. So I think Rashford had a decent game at weekend, and I'd keep him on the right.
Honestly, as good as Mazraoui's been for us, as good as he has been, and if he comes back into the team, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be disappointed, because it's nothing to do with him and his form. Because I think he's been excellent since he's come into Manchester United. I really do. But I remember against Porto, similar situation. Dallow's playing left back, Rashford's also playing on left wing, and both of their goals did come down that side, and they were quite weak defensively. That's the only thing that worries me. Whereas, like you said, Martinez against Brentford did stay back a bit, because obviously he's cautious. He's not played left back as much for Manchester United, and he is a more defensive player. And he did a really good job. So if it was me, honestly, I would actually keep Martinez there at left back, and I probably would bring Lindelof in and play him with De Ligt and keep Dallow and Rashford on that right hand side. And that's no disrespect to Mazraoui, because I think he's been excellent, but I just think Dallow and Rashford on the left, I think it is weaker defensively, and teams can get at that.
Yeah, it could be, but like you say, Martinez stays back a bit more. I would agree with you. But another reason why I'd agree with you, and I think a hell of a lot of the fans, I think they underrate Lindelof as well. I don't think we'll be much weaker. We will be a bit weaker, because obviously Johnny Evans is the man who he's replacing, who's been playing absolutely fantastic. But Lindelof's a proper decent centre-back, and a lot of the fans don't appreciate it. I don't think we'll have any problems if Lindelof plays at centre-back and Martinez stays at left-back. When I say any problems, like I've just said about the Bruno situation, of course we can have problems. Of course we can get murdered in the end, but don't think that couldn't have happened. Like I said about Bruno, we've been murdered plenty of times with Martinez playing centre-back. So I'll get me excuses in before the game starts.
I seen on TalkSport, they did a segment the other day saying, Manchester United, why is Lindelof still there? He's been there for years, that's why they're not succeeding. I'm like, he's not even played a game in God knows how long, and we've still been poor.
How can it be his fault, yeah?
So, but yeah, it'll be interesting. I wouldn't mind Lindelof coming in and filling in at centre-back, because needs must. He would never be my first choice, but needs must. I would encourage that to happen tonight, because that's what we've got to do. Johnny Evans, like we said, hasn't travelled. You speak about, if it's a bad game and Manchester United do end up getting beat 3-0 or whatever the result is, it's not just because Bruno hasn't played, it's not just because Lindelof's come back in the team, but at the same time, if Manchester United do play really well and we get a good result, it's not just because Bruno's been out.
Correct.
I can use it both ways,
Absolutely
can't I?
correct.
But how excited are you to see the midfield? Because even me, one of the biggest Bruno fans, I'm going to be completely honest, I've been speaking to a lot of people and I've been saying, I would like to see this midfield. I think Ugarte paired with Casemiro could be a really good midfield pairing, especially away from home. And I think Eriksen just in front of that is positionally very aware, he's good on the ball, he keeps things ticking. I've been excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it, and look, it'll probably be only one game. Even if we happen to have a really good win tonight, 3 or 4-0, I still think he'll bring Bruno back into the team for the West Ham game. So, it sort of proves that if that happens, it sort of proves the point that it's not about one player; it's a team game. So, I'm looking forward to it, but I'd much rather see it for 4 or 5 games on the bounce, and then make a calculated decision on whether it is better without him or better with him.
I mean, there's some people saying Xerxes should drop into the 10, just the same way that Wout Weghorst did when we played away at the Nou Camp at Barcelona. I remember that. For me personally, I wouldn't start him in that role. I just think you're away from home. Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce. I just think it's a really tough ask to drop him into that position. I think you've got your midfield 3 set out for him, and if he did do that, you would suspect that would mean Ugarte would be on the bench, which would be really damning if there's only 3 midfielders travelling and Ugarte, your £50 million signing, is still on the bench. So I don't think that can happen. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I can't see it. It is an option off the bench.
I think it's a good option, because you don't expect all 3 midfielders to last the whole game. So if you're going to sub one of them off, you get to actually see Xerxes and Højlund for maybe the last 20 minutes or so, depending on how the game goes. It always depends on how the game goes, and that's an option that fans have been wanting to see. And when you're midway through a game, it's sometimes easier than starting it.
Yeah, without a doubt, especially if it's going well. I mean, if we're winning, it can also go wrong, by the way, but if you're winning 2-0, it's much easier for the player to come on and get involved in the play. The team's obviously playing with a bit more confidence, and I think it'd be great if that could happen, and Xerxes gets a game while we're already leading. Taking the lead won't be easy, though. Are
you excited to see Ugarte? Because you would think that Ten Hag will have no other choice than to play him for a big majority of this game at least. Not really had a proper look at him. Obviously played against Barnsley, but you can't really tell in them sort of games. Yeah. So are you excited to see what he can do? I mean, it's going to be a tough game for him in the midfield with the players that they have.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. He had he had 2 strong runs forward with the ball at the weekend, and he only got about 15 minutes. Sometimes that's really important for that you've got a midfield player who can carry the ball forward, but at the same time, if when you get forward, you or the player who you pass it to, if you lose it, you're then sort of a bit light in the midfield. So it's not so, especially here at a tough away game, which it will be a tough away game. I hope we don't see that early in the game. Maybe a bit later on, but early in the game, I'd like to see our midfield player stick to the position if he's got the ball in the midfield or even in our own final third, to look for a simple pass rather than go on a long bursting run.
I have noticed that the few times I have seen him, don't get me wrong, I think there's stuff to like, and I think it's, I didn't realise he was that good of a ball carrier, and I know it's late on in the game, but carried the ball excellently well with a bit of pace as well, which is something we've been lacking in the midfield. But what I have noticed, which can cost you in counter-attacking situations, is he does tend to get sucked in to the ball, and then you can be left for dead then. So just positionally aware. That's something I want to see from Amrabat. Amrabat's not on our team anymore.
He played for them.
I would like to see Ugarte do that actually, but I'm getting them mixed up again. I'd like to see Amrabat do that, but Ugarte wanting, like you said, stay disciplined and start the game well, get some confidence in him. That'd be great, because I do think there's potential there. He's a young player, and we need him in this midfield. We massively need him, and we need him to have a good game tonight. So
he's really got to step up tonight.
Yeah, excited to watching him, and I think it is a massive game for him. Last but not least, I think we can agree the front three should be Rashford off the right, Garnacho off the left, Højlund up front. I
won't say agree that it should be. I'm sure that's what it will be. But I would certainly give Ahmad a run. I wouldn't
be against that.
I certainly would. I'd give Ahmad a run, but that's what the front three will be. I'm pretty sure of it.
I would be very happy if Ahmad came in. As good as Rashford and Garnacho did last game, Ten Hag speaks about rotation, and I do think Ahmad is more than capable. I still think he's probably technically our best winger. I think he's got a very high ceiling, but also at the same time, if it was me making the decision tonight, I think I'd just edge towards keeping the same front three, because they performed so well together against Brentford, and we've been struggling to score goals, and we actually look like we could score in that game, and I think you've got to kind of reward that sort of performance with another start in the midweek. But what I do think is that it'll be interesting to see when or if Ahmad and Anthony do come on the pitch tonight, because I do think, especially if we're doing well, or even if you're not doing well, don't be afraid to change it, especially in the front three if they're not performing. Them two players, especially Ahmad, need a run out, really, don't they?
Yeah, they both need a run out, but both Ahmad and Anthony, to me, are both better. I mean, look, Garnacho and Rashford, they stepped up to the plate at the weekend, but I think Ahmad and Anthony, I think they defend more naturally. I think it's more natural to them to get back quickly behind the ball. That could be important here. If I was the manager, I wouldn't be against giving them both the start, but obviously that's not going to happen.
Well, if that's the case, which I agree with you, I think defensively they are pretty solid. Hopefully Manchester United are winning the game quite
and we can close it up.
And then we can close it up, and hopefully they'll get a few opportunities as well. Look, Ricky, it's been a pleasure. Is there anything you want to say before we move on to score predictions? Anything I haven't touched upon?
Only that the beer in town's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to having a few later this afternoon.
Honestly, I wish I weren't working. Actually, no, I'm glad I'm working later. I am glad. I'm excited for what's to come, but I might treat myself to one or two. But Ricky, score prediction?
I'll go for a 1-1.
1-1?
And I'd take that. I'll be happy with a draw.
Okay. I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going with a 2-1 Manchester United win. I feel like we're going to win.
I hope you're right, love.
Could come back to bite me. But look, everyone, thank you for watching. Hit a like on the video. Get all your comments in, all your team thoughts in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit a like on the video. Ricky, all the way in Istanbul. It's been a pleasure.
As ever.
Come on, United.
Come on, United.